Because reading is what?
Fundamental.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Do You Read BTS? I'm Lisa.
And I'm Zay. Welcome back, guys. So for this episode, we did The Nanny, and it's by Taeliba. It's Taeliba, I believe, on Wattpad.
Yep.
So let's get into it.
Oh yeah, this story is so good. So in the beginning of this story, it's about a girl. Her name is Diana, and y'all know I love a girl with a name, so I'm happy that she got a name. So the girl name is Diana, and she lives with Jimin. So I'm going to get real quick into that backstory. So the backstory of her life is that she lived with her mom and dad in America. Her dad was abusive and used to beat her and her sister all the time, which was weird. I didn't understand it. I was like, they rich, and it don't seem like he an alcoholic, so why?
And the mama never did anything about
And
it.
the mama didn't do one thing. Anyway, her dad was mad abusive to her and her sister. I mean, abusive, like they had whips on them, like permanent, like marks.
Yeah.
Because that's how bad their dad was.
Yep.
So her mom sent her to live in Korea, which I don't know how her mama know them. But
I feel like she met them in Korea. Did she not?
I didn't see that the book specified that, so I don't know. But she sent her to live in Korea with Jimmy and his family. So she lived with the family. She went when she was younger, I think like 16. So she was in her 20s 8 years later. And then her mom was like, look, she got to get a job or she got to go. I guess they were struggling.
Yeah.
And so she had lived there long enough, and she was just like, she got to go get a job or she cannot live here. She made Jimmy tell her that, and then Jimmy just did not want to tell her that, so he kind of tried to tell her in a mean way, but it came off really bad. And so she ends up like running away, like because her thing was she was like, because the girl in the store was black. So she was like, how am I supposed to get a job and I'm black in Korea? It's too hard to get a job here. So she is like mad at the mama, like, so what should have go in the rain somewhere?
Yeah, she went out somewhere and was walking around, and she was getting followed by these two guys, like, because she's normally with Jimin. Because he protects her, and she like sees him, and they're like running after her, and one of them actually hits her, and she's out in the rain, and she's crying and all that, and Jimin find her, and then he take her back, but they're like not talking to each other like that after, like when she comes back.
Because what he did is he took her back to the house and he like cradled her to sleep or something.
Right.
Still wasn't like straight, you know?
Right.
So as time goes by, I'm just kind of skipping along a little bit, excuse me. But and so we come to find Tay.
Yep.
They're all friends. Tay and JK are like really close. Like real close. Like JK was gay, but he didn't want to like say he was gay because his Christianity, like his background.
Yeah, his family.
And Tay just was out there. He was out there all out. Tay didn't care about nothing. So, they had their little relationship, whatever. And they just kind of hung out with each other from time to time. He called her baby bear. Not JK, Lord. Jimin called Diana baby bear.
Yeah.
How cute was that?
That's a really cute nickname.
Right. I would tell my husband, call me baby bear. He gonna be like, no.
Right, girl, what?
So anyway, so they kind of hung out with them a lot. And then while they were hanging out, I think Tay had to leave. Tay had to leave to go get his brother, right? So come to find out, the brother is Namjoon. So Namjoon and uh,
Tay and Jin.
Tay and Jin are brothers.
Mm-hmm.
Now Jin has his own business in food. He has like a franchise.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but he was supposed to take the business, but he didn't. So that kind of just left it to Namjoon. Namjoon did not want it, but he didn't have a choice to take it because Tay was just careless. So they wouldn't leave it to him. So Namjoon had to take it.
Mm-hmm.
So and so he said, I'm going to pick up my brother. So he goes pick up his brother. And his brother is a filthy rich, honey, on that private plane. I was just imagining him getting off that plane. You know that picture of Namjoon with the glasses.
Which picture?
You know, he got on the white.
The white button up?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
With the glasses.
Yep. And his
Oh,
hair's like slicked back. Kind of. And it's
yes.
got the yes girl. One of my favorite pictures.
Yes, girl. Please put
Yeah.
that. So Tay goes to pick Namjoon up and take him home. Now Namjoon is a homemade man, or so we thought. But Namjoon is a homemade man married to Hausa.
Pasta, yeah.
And if y'all don't know Hausa, she is from Mama Moo. I love Hausa too. That's my girl. Anyway, so he's married to her, but Hausa is Hausa. Like her life is Mama Moo. So, but in the story, they hadn't made it like super big.
Yeah,
But
she was like, it sounded like she was still a trainee low key in the story because
like,
they
I
said
don't
she was
think they
about
were
to
trainees
debut.
because she was traveling.
Oh, that's right.
But they hadn't made it super big, but
Yeah.
big enough to be traveling and stuff.
Yeah.
And so she always was gone. She was never around her kids, never around her husband. And then she had a relationship with another woman on the group. And like Namjoon knew about that, but she kind of played it off every time he talked about it.
Mm-hmm.
So it was almost like she came home. When she came home, she looked at her kids, made sure they was breathing, gave Namjoon them cookies, and dipped on out the door again.
And dipped.
Like that's how she is in the story.
Mm-hmm.
So they have two kids, a boy and a girl. They're fairly young. And he loves those kids, but he is always busy.
Mm-hmm.
So they came home and they have a nanny at this time. Is it a nanny or a sitter?
I think she was a sitter. I think she was a sitter. Was she a sitter or a nanny? Maybe she was a nanny.
Or whatever she was. They came home. Namjoon asked where she was at because he couldn't find her, and the kids was just doing their own thing at this time.
Mm-hmm.
And so then Tay seen her stealing his stuff, all Namjoon's stuff. And Namjoon didn't pay no never mind. He was like, one be the first, one be the last, and just walked
Right.
out, went to his office to do work that he just came home from and is doing work again.
Right.
So Tay just says to her, okay, I'm catching you. I didn't caught you. You can either go to jail right now or you can drop down and get your eagle on, okay? So basically Tay wanted her to give him head.
Yep.
So and she did it. And then he was like, after that, he was like, now leave. Throw all that stuff down and leave before I call the police. And that's what happened.
Mm-hmm.
So then I guess Tay just left, and then Namjoon was just expressing, oh, now I need a new nanny, blah 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 blah. So, I guess Tay went back to Jimin and all them, and he was like, oh, I got somebody for the job, and then it was Diana.
So he tells Diana that he has a job for her, and she's like, okay. She doesn't even ask any questions because she's like, I need a job. I need to do something quick, so I'll just do it. He's like, great, you got to be there at 5:30. So she goes to Namjoon's house, and off rip, she's in there taking care of the kids, and the little brother or the brother hits the little girl, and she goes to discipline him or whatever. But when Namjoon walks in, all he sees is Diana holding his son by the collar and his daughter crying. So he automatically freaks out, and he doesn't even try to hear nobody's side of the story. He's like, you got to get out. You need to get your stuff. You won't handle my kids like this. All this is that. And she's just like, here we go again, because she's been having a horrible look since she's been out there. So she leaves. She's upset, but she leaves. And
he throws money at her too.
Oh yeah, he threw money at her, and she goes. So she puts the money in her like dresser and stuff like that at the house with Jimin and his family. And I'm skipping ahead a little bit, but
you're doing good.
So she so while she's out one day, Jimin's mom goes through her drawers and finds the money. So when she comes back home, the whole family is sitting at the table with the money sitting there, and they're like, you're not going to be doing illegal stuff in our house. How dare you? All this other stuff. You got to get out right now, blah, blah, blah. They didn't give her a chance to explain. They didn't want to hear nothing. So she's upset. And Jimin was right there too. That was just like, I can't believe you would do this to us, blah blah blah, which was crazy to me, because it's like, that's supposed to be your best friend.
To be super duper close.
Yeah. So that was so crazy. So she leaves, and she's where does she go after that?
She leaves and she takes her money and she goes to the hotel.
Oh, a hotel.
That hotel, no, not hotel. It was a
motel.
Yes, honey, and it was bad. Like how they described it in the book, the floor was sticky. Like all you could smell was alcohol and smoke. Pee. Like it was just nasty.
Yeah,
like rats crawling on the floor, nasty.
And she wasn't able to like take a shower really good and all this. Like she had a hard time. But from her experience with the kids, just for that little bit of time, they really had like become attached to her. So the mom comes home and is like, where I thought there was a sitter or whatever. He's like, I sent her home because of this, and this. So the son's like, no, this isn't what happened. I did X, Y, and Z, and this is why she was doing that. So then the wife is like, all right, well, we need somebody. We'll hire a nanny or whatever. So she goes to find her, but she sees her somehow first. I can't remember how she sees her first.
Well, I think at first she comes to sit. She comes to like babysit. Like,
oh, that's right. She wanted to leave.
Right, Halsa called her.
Yeah.
Whatever. She didn't even know who she was. She was just needing somebody to be there because she was ready to go.
Yep.
And so she called Diana and said, can you come watch the kids? By now, she don't even know about this Namjoon part yet.
Exactly.
And so she called her. She was like, oh, can you come watch the kids? Blah, blah, blah. So Diana just come watch the kids or whatever. And when Namjoon come home, he see her. Don't he kick her out again?
Yeah. Well, he's getting ready to. And she's like, what do you... So then she comes back and is like, what are you doing? This is who I hired or whatever.
Right.
But by the time Diana got to the house, Hwasa was already gone. So when she came back, she actually saw what she looked like, and she was like, oh, I'm trying to give me some of that.
Hwasa was ready. She was ready to get that girl because Diana is beautiful in this story.
Yeah.
And so, but Diana goes home that night.
Right.
Back to the motel.
So, yep.
And the next day, Hwasa sees her in her car. And she sees her going to that motel, and she was like, oh, no. So then she gets her, and that's when she, like, moves her in.
Yeah, so she ends up sending for her. She has one of the people, like the drivers or something, come. And it's just a guy coming with this big, nice car, takes her, and she's like, I need to get my stuff. And they're like, don't worry about it, just come with us. So she goes with them. And then Hwasa tells her, like, yeah, you're going to be our nanny, blah, 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 and you're going to live here. Mind you, she didn't even talk to none of this with Namjoon. So he don't even know what's going on at this point. But he's like, well, she can't. He has all this stuff against her, like right off the bat, because he still feels some type of way.
Well, because low-key, like, I feel like he's not racist in the story, but he low-key is. Only because of what his parents are racist.
Yep.
His parents are very racist against Black people.
Yeah.
So automatic, like, he's not racist, but he's almost like Well, she ain't listen. She ain't that like downgraded her because she's black.
Right. So she ends up like going to the room and stuff like that, getting settled and kind of getting situated as taking care of the kids. The kids are like just fall in love with her. They love her so much because honestly, like the parents aren't there. Like
Right. She's the
they're
only
there.
parent that they
Yeah.
probably had.
Yeah. Like they're there physically, but they're not present.
Mm-hmm.
So they're really becoming attached to her. And the parent, like they're kind of noticing. Well, Namjoon ends up noticing over time. I don't think the mom ever notices for real,
No,
but
because she had bad intentions from the start. She didn't even
she,
care about them kids like that, to be
yep,
quite honest. The only reason why she hired Diana and wanted her there is because she wanted to screw Diana, which she
yep,
did.
yep. And so while she's there, she ends up coming up to her and she's talking on the couch and she puts her hand on her thigh and she starts moving it up and it's like, have you ever thought about being with a woman and all this other stuff? And then like stuff starts to happen. So as time goes on, they end up having like a whole full affair.
Like a full affair. Like Diana, like, is like really liking her.
Yeah, she has like for real feelings for her, and
Mm-hmm.
what's McCall don't even care about her like that. So
Mm-hmm.
it's sad. It's real sad.
So as time goes by, she watches the kids. The kids love her, and everybody kind of started liking her. Like it takes Namjoon a long time to start liking her, but he eventually do. But at this point, she does not really know how to cook. Like they want her to cook and clean, and that's not really her job. She's a nanny, and she just let them know that's not my job. I'm here to watch the kids, make sure they're good, and that's it. But Namjoon pays her extra money to cook food for him. And he
Mm.
wanted Korean food, and she went in there cook him some
So soul
chicken,
food.
macaroni and cheese, some collard greens.
I was like, I know that food slaps,
Right.
slaps.
And so Namjoon just happy with that because she cooking good. He ain't getting that many great meals, but she does want to cook authentic Korean meals.
Right,
So she tells Namjoon, and she's actually good. She's fluent in Korean, but she can't read it.
right.
So she tells Namjoon, and she wants to take classes for it. Uh, and then he's kind of like, "Oh, well, you ain't using my money. Use your own money, you know."
Right,
And she was like, "Take it back," because I guess she thought he was gonna pay for it. Since
right.
she wanted him to, he wanted her to cook and stuff. And so she runs off and she's crying. Her feelings are hurt because of that. And then he came in, he was like, "Please don't leave, please don't leave." And she was crying. And I think Namjoon was crying a little bit.
He cried a lot in this book.
Right, for somebody that at this point really didn't really care for her that much.
Right, he cried a lot. Like something about her made him just break down.
Right. So, and so he ended up saying, "Okay, I promise I'll get you classes or whatever." So he ended up signing her up for these classes. And when he went to sign her up, these people were so racist against black people. And
But
they
they
didn't
didn't
want,
know she was black when he signed her up.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, he got all the people together. The cooking class was special because they had a station, but it was completely broken down and needed new equipment. He called his good homeboy and was like, "Hey man, I need you to do this." So they had come out the next day, got everything squared away, got her all new equipment, all this
All
other
new
stuff,
equipment. And everybody,
everything.
everybody looking at her sideways because she got all the good stuff. And they got old raggedy stuff.
Exactly. So excuse me, sorry. So when she is getting ready to start classes, she goes to the school with Namjoon and they are automatically giving her a hard time. She can't be in here, blah 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 blah. She's like, here we go. They end up going into because Namjoon's like, chill, 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 because she wants to cuss out the receptionist because the receptionist off bat gave her a hard time.
Right.
So he's like, chill, 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 just go to class, da da da. So she goes into class, everybody's staring at her. And they giving her looks and remarks because she got all this nice equipment. So she goes through that class, and she makes some really good food. But the teacher doesn't like her because the food tastes better than her food. But
Right.
it's
And she
seasoned
be
hella
mad.
good.
I was trying to kick her out.
A mess. So she ends up going to her next class, which is her Hangul class, and the class goes fine. She sits in the back. Again, she said it was filled with foreigners, but people were still looking at her because I guess there wasn't any black people. It was just her. So she goes to the class, everything's fine, and then her teacher tells her to stay back so they can give her some packets. So she gets her packets and she ends up dropping them on the floor, and she meets this guy that's like super handsome. She's like spitting with him. Well, come to find out, it's like Namjoon's like arch rival. So
what's his name?
Sojun Park Sojun, I think it is.
That's his real name.
Oh, okay. So she meet him and she's smitten with him off the bat. So when Namjoon come and pick her up, she's like, giddy and all this other stuff, and he's kind of looking at her like, and she's talking about this guy that she just met, and she talks about him nonstop, and he's feeling some type of way, and she brings up his name, but he's like, this can't be the same one that I absolutely hate. Lo and behold, it's the one he absolutely hates.
It's him, honey.
It's him. Okay, go ahead.
So she kind of don't know what's going on between them. She just knows something going on between them two. But as time goes by, she's still having the affair with Namjoon's wife, Hausa. She's still taking care of the kids. Namjoon start liking her more. They start spending a lot more time with each other. And I can't remember what happened after that.
I mean, there's like a situation where they go up to the school and all of that because the little boy was getting bullied. But that's a little bit later on. I'm trying to think what else happened.
Also, she get kicked out the school.
Oh yeah, so she made
ended up fighting that receptionist.
Yeah, she made this one dish that was good. It was hella seasoned, and they was like, "You gotta go because you don't follow directions." And she's like, "This is some bull," but all right. She packs up
right,
her
and
stuff
then look, the instructor was mad because she wanted her to because she was packing up all her
stuff,
all her food. And the instructor wanted her to leave the food
because it was good. They was just hating.
Right.
So yeah, so she ends up fighting the receptionist. I know she was waiting to beat her down. I know she was. And then I think she ends up saying she was gonna quit the school because she's like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah, and then Suju, I'm gonna say the guy. Her and the guy got close. And so as they got close and she was like leaving the school, he was like, well, how I'm gonna see you again? She was like, oh, I guess we have to go on dates or whatever. But now what you don't know is that he was just trying to get Namjoon back for what Namjoon did to him.
Backstory.
He didn't even want Diana.
Nope.
He thought she was beautiful. But he was using Diana because he wanted to get Namjoon back for what he did. So go ahead with that backstory.
So the backstory is Namjoon and Hwasa aren't actually like they were married, but it was like a marriage contract. But she was with the guy, and him and her had been together for a while. Well, Namjoon ended up bidding higher for her because he knew his family wouldn't be able to pay, and he ended up with her. And homeboy has been holding that ever since.
But you know what I think? Because this, okay, let's finish before I say what I'm going to say.
Now I'm curious, girl.
Well, let's finish first because we don't have that much longer to go.
Okay. So I'm trying to think what part it was, but they get closer. They're like talking on the phone all the time, all that good stuff. She's still getting close with the kids. Her and Namjoon have their days where they're like cool, but then some days they're not. He's working.
No, at this point, he is getting really close to her. Yeah, and he don't know why he's getting that close and why he's so vulnerable around her, but he is. She just got that personality. Meanwhile, she's still over here screwing the wife. And then, but she told Yugi. Remember, Yugi came to visit, and he was like, "Well, what are you doing?" And he was like, "Do you like Namjoon like that?" Because I could tell he liked you, and she was like, "No, I'm screwing his wife."
Yeah. So what happened was her and Namjoon, something was going on, and he was tickling her, and when he was tickling her, they was about to kiss, and Yoongi walked in the door. So Yoongi was like, I knew it because that was something that came up. Was like, oh, you're just over there, you're screwing him or whatever like that. And she's like, nah, I'm not doing that. So when he saw that, he was like, I knew it. And she's like, actually, I'm hitting at his wife. Okay, go ahead.
So she still messed with his wife. Namjoon getting super close to her, don't know why. And Soo-Jun, him, whatever his name is.
We can skip ahead to the part where she ends up falling. So she has PTSD because she has a bad past. Her backstory is that we already talked about her dad being super abusive and all this other stuff. So she one day is going up to her room or something like that, or Namjoon's study, and he's getting undressed. And as she notices, like something that happened to her was the belt. She used to get hit with the belt. Well, Namjoon didn't have a shirt on and stuff like that, and he had this belt like kind of in his hand, and she saw that. And she freaked out, and he started to chase her, but that made her freak out even more. And so she ended up falling down the stairs and bumping her head. And so he went down to help her, and she was like freaking out and shaking, and she was having those memories from when she used to get abused by her father. So then he had to take her to the hospital because she was like knocked out. She was unconscious for days.
She fell down the steps.
Yeah, and she was unconscious for days.
Right, she was bleeding too.
Yeah.
And then after that, after she came back, he kind of kept her in the house and was just watching over her. But she had been in there for like a week or two. And she was like, well, like she was better by then. And then she was like getting dressed at one time, and he was like, "Oh, where you going?" She was like, "Oh, I'm going on a date with him." Now y'all know who I'm talking about. And so then he instantly just started getting jealous because he don't want her to go out. And he was like, "Why don't you go out with me?" And she was like, because I don't like you like that.
Right.
And it hurt his feelings.
Feelings hurt.
Right. And so she goes out with him, and he ends up telling her that he is just trying to get back at Namjoon because of what Namjoon did to him, and she's a nice girl, but he was married. He was married anyway.
Yep.
And so he was like, "It's not fair to you," and then really it's not fair to Namjoon. It's been years ago. Like I've moved on. I don't really even know why I'm doing this. So then they part ways. She kind of hurt about it because she really did like him.
Right.
But and so she goes back home, and she, just go back to.
Namjoon was there waiting on her when she walked outside because he had asked. Yeah, so she ended up going with him, but she was feeling some type of way about the whole thing because he told her a lot of stuff. So go ahead.
So what we failed to mention is, I wanted to get to this part, is that she called her mom. She's talking to her mom at one time. Her mom tells her that she's coming to Korea in 3 months and she wants to see her because her dad has a business, something business that he had to do. And so she knows it's in the back of her mind. So she's talking to Namjoon. Namjoon tells her, "Can you like clean up and like cook all this like food and all this like stuff ready? Because my friend coming. My friend ain't been in town in I don't know how long, and he's bringing his new wife." So when he gets there, and it's Hobie. Hobie gets there and she sees Hobie or whatever, and she just like setting up the food and all this stuff, and then she looks up and it's her sister. So Hobie married the sister, but she already knew that when she talked to her mom told her, "Oh, I haven't seen your sister in forever." She made that Asian dude or whatever, but she didn't put it together. So she seen her sister, and she ain't seen since she left and went to Korea.
They said 10 years. 10 years.
10 years.
I don't have siblings, but 10 years?
Yeah, that's a long time.
That's a super long time.
I couldn't imagine like being away from my brothers and sisters for that long. Like that's
crazy. Yeah.
Speaking of my sister, if you guys like my jewelry, it came from her. We'll put a link in the description for you. You can order what you want. But anyway, back to the story. So she goes, she sees her sister. Her sister have this like moment, like she's like hugging and crying. Hobie know about what happened in their past because Hobie met her sister in rehab.
Right.
So I guess that's how bad her sister was abused, that she had to go to rehab because she turned to drugs.
Yep.
So her and Hobie ended up together, clean and sober and doing well. And
Hope.
I don't hope he didn't tell what happened because he said that's not my story to tell.
Yeah. I appreciated that he kept that to himself, but he did say, you know, she probably suffers from PTSD just like her sister, so you need to tread lightly with
And
her.
she gonna need some therapy.
And she gonna need some therapy.
Yeah.
But you know what I really appreciated about Hobie? He was like, I don't like the heifer that she married to. I wish you would get with Diana. You know that's who you feeling. Blah 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 blah.
And he wasn't even there that long before he know that.
Wasn't even there that long. He knew he
wasn't
didn't care. He didn't care.
Yeah.
He did not like her.
Mm-hmm. So they had this like great reunion, and that was pretty much it. After that, they seen each other one more time, and then they just went their own separate ways. But it kind of gave Namjoon like he didn't know about what was going on, but he knew that she had some trauma, and that's why she acted that way and fell down them stairs like that.
Right.
And so after that, what happened after that? Shoot, girl.
After they had the whole meeting, after at the dinner party, real quick, everybody came, which she didn't know initially. So it was Yoongi, Hobie, JK, and Tae, Jimin, and his girlfriend, which Jimin never told Diana that he had a girlfriend. She just happened to see the messages in his phone before she left. That happened like early in the book. But her and Jimin, she introduced herself to Jimin's girlfriend and as his best friend, and that's kind of how they made up. Like they hadn't talked the entire time,
right?
Because he
and
thought
she
she was
like, and she, I don't care what, and it don't say this in the book, but she liked Jimmy because her feelings was hurt when he didn't like when she seen his phone. He was like an earlier, like before she left the house.
yeah.
That girl texted Jimmy, and she seen those text messages, and she was hurt.
I think she was hurt because he didn't tell her because she didn't tell him about her job either. Remember? Because she was like, "Well, I'm not going to tell him about my job."
Yeah, but I took it as if, oh, he got her. Well, I'm gonna do me. That's how I took it. It
I
don't
see
say
it.
it in the book, y'all. So it could
Yeah,
be
I
her way
could see
or
it that way. I could see it that way.
mm-hmm.
So yeah, so they made up pretty much after that, and she saw her sister off to the airport. Namjoon had this big project coming up. She's like, all right, well, you know, you really need to get rest. You need to really be careful. All this other stuff. She's taking care of him. So is it okay if I forward to the meeting?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So there's the day of the meeting. He's getting ready to go to. He's having it at his house. So he has her prepare all these dishes and all that. He tells her when they come, don't look at them in their eyes. Just like as a courtesy, just serve and keep it pushing. So she's like, bet. So she goes to serve. Everybody's there. She goes to serve, and she notices that these people are staring at her, a man and a woman, and she's like, but she kind of does like a side eye and starts freaking out. It's her dad and her mom. And her dad recognizes her and starts just riding her.
Basically saying, why are you here being a servant? Because they
8 years you wasted all this time just to be here, maid, and blah 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 blah. You're probably having sex with him, all this other stuff, and she's just like she's panicking because she has that trauma still. That's so sad.
I could see her just looking down while he was doing all that.
Yeah. And then he eventually gets up and hits her. And what does the mom do?
Nothing.
Looked. Blinking. She up there blinking.
Yes.
Looking stupid.
That mama was wrong.
As hell. Like, how you gonna sit there and watch your kids get beat like that? Like, and then sat there at a meeting, no less. This is a huge
in front
meeting.
Of company.
That's in front of company. You
that's
keep
what
that in the house if you
right
don't do that mess.
Company.
I'm just kidding. You don't keep it in the house, you don't do it. But I'm just like, girl, this is a multi-million-dollar project that I think if they lost millions off of this deal if they didn't get everything squared away. So he's doing that. She's on the ground bawling her eyes out. Namjoon's like looking at this happen, and he ends up stepping in and is like, hey man, you need to chill out. The dad's like, you don't get in family business, all this stuff, and he's standing up for her, and she's like, well, we're gonna disown her and all this other stuff. She's just a slut, and she's just something else. And Namjoon's like, hey, you know what? First of all, he punches him because he kept talking mess. He punched him dead in his nose and was like, you know what? I'm not doing business with you. This meeting is over and done. You are a terrible person. All this and that. And he's like, I care for your daughter, and that kind of just went into a whole thing.
You know that whole thing when they say in that moment he knew he effed up. That daddy knew he effed up because he needed that business.
Yeah. And his parents, I know we're gonna be pissed, but he he had morals and he had like values on what was right and what wasn't. He wasn't feeling that. Right. So they ended up.
And at this time he was in love with Diana.
Yep.
He had already told Diana, we skipped this part, but he told Diana that he had feelings for her. And then he had already told her about that wife, didn't he?
About the what?
That he wasn't really married.
Yes, he did tell her because he had planned on doing something at a point, and she was like, okay. He's like, yeah, we're not married. And she's like, okay. Because she was debating on whether or not to tell him that she had been sleeping with his wife.
Right, because now she got this like heavy on her because she know the truth. Now, y'all, we still don't know the truth.
I know.
We don't know what? We don't know the truth because it's more stuff in it that old dude told Diana about Namjoon and Hausa.
And that hasn't come up. And
it hasn't came up yet.
Oh girl, really, Diana really was feeling Hausa, but that wasn't reciprocated. So her feelings were hurt from that early on. But
not only that, she now, since she's spending so much time with Namjoon, she's figuring out that what her and Hausa had was just sex.
Yep.
But she's starting to really feel Namjoon, like for real feel him.
But the problem was, so when all that stuff was going down with her dad and they finally left, she was still on the floor crying. She wasn't, she was still trying to deal with that. And Namjoon did what he could to, try to comfort her. But as he was comforting her and crying, he decided to kiss her. So they like kissed for a second, and it was starting to get hot and heavy. And then she pulled back and was like, how dare you, when I'm going through my time of need and this is a terrible time for me, why would you take advantage of me and all this other stuff? And he's like, I'm so sorry, I really care about you. She's like, he said he told her he loved her, and she's like, you don't love me, blah blah. So then he started listing about everything he loved and why he did love her. And then she was like, crap, he might actually love me. And so that's kind of that from I think that's all that happens that night.
That's it, girl.
Yeah. So
and this is pretty much the end of the story when she basically was like, I need to tell him what happened.
Yeah. So what a cliffhanger to end off on, because she asked him, promise you won't leave me, promise you won't be mad at me. She just kept saying, I'm sorry and all this stuff. And he's just kind of like, all right, like I won't, but I'm not sure what happened. We don't know what happened. We don't know what's going on. I mean, we know that he was having sex with his wife, but that's it.
The story not finished, y'all.
Yeah, it's not finished, and we're not sure when we'll get the update. So,
yeah. So I'm gonna tell you what I was going to say.
Okay.
I think that oldest son is not his son.
I agree, because as soon as they was talking about, he was telling the story, and I'm like, I don't know what he told her, but I'm pretty sure that that's his son. The
little boy name is almost like the dude's name.
Exactly, and he got a whole little kind of attitude about him and stuff like that. And I'm like, man, that's not his kid.
But if that dude, if he knew that wasn't his kid, now if this is okay, y'all, this is not what the story say. This is just what we thinking. Now, if that older dude know that that's his son, he wrong for not stepping up.
Well, I don't know if he could have, because they had that contract. Even though the contract had long since been up, and even when she got pregnant, the contract, you know what? She had to be. He had to know, and this is why. When she was pregnant with the daughter, the contract was up and they didn't renew it. So the son already existed. So I wonder if I'm wondering if he already knew. Because he was like, when she got pregnant with the daughter, this is what blah 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 happened. But he didn't mention the son when she got pregnant with the son.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking, I don't know. He might not know though.
I don't think Namjoon know.
I don't know, but I felt like that was the case for that. And as soon as she was talking to her mom on the phone early in the story, I was like, her dad worked for the company that Namjoon got to meet with.
I already knew that, been known.
I knew that. I knew that Hobie and his wife. I knew that the wife was his sister because I was like, I could just see that happening. Sure enough.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what I'm curious about is what the rest of the stuff is. Like, I feel like I initially thought it was something to do with the company and how Namjoon would lose all the company and his family, but I'm not sure. And I wonder if so this is what I think is going to happen out like in the immediate part. If she tells him everything and he's like good with it, they'll end up living and being happy. However, his family is not going to have that, and they're going to tell him he has to go and he can't control the company. And then they're going to have to figure that whole thing out, and they're going to try to leave, but they're going to take everything that he has from him. That's what I think.
Girl, that is not what's gonna happen.
You don't think so?
Oh no, D, it's gonna be a happy ending. Okay, here's my ending. Since you give your ending, I'm gonna give my ending.
Look, I'm dark. I'm like, this is gonna be horrible. His life is gonna be sad forever.
I mean, since you give me, we don't have an ending, so we gotta make our own ending.
Yeah.
So I think what's gonna happen is he's gonna be like, I've been known that you was messing with my wife, and we're not married, so it's cool. And I didn't know this about my son, but I'ma still raise him because he mine. And House about to leave because she on tour anyway, and I want to marry you. And House is gonna be cool with it because she gonna be like, I like Diana anyway.
Right, and she was messing with
House
her
did not care because in the story, House was saying, "Why you in there with my husband?" And, but then she was like, "Girl, if you want to screw him, go ahead. As long as you give me that, I don't care what you do."
She was a trip in this story, man. Like a whole trip.
But she wasn't really like the enemy to me like that.
No, she was there. It was like kind of crazy and it was like a little bit sneaky, but she was just there. But you know what would be really crazy if somehow, because you know he was talking about getting divorced from her. Well, I guess they're not technically married anymore, but
they're not married at all. They had a contract, which I don't understand how that goes.
Yeah, and the contract has long since been over. So it would be crazy if her and the dude are actually married. And you know what I mean? Because he said he's married, and I'm like, I wonder if when the contract ended, they got back together.
I did not think about that.
So you gotta. I was over here thinking, girl. I was
thinking. Wait, that would be crazy. So
wouldn't that be crazy?
The whole time that she was supposed to be touring, she was with him.
Wouldn't that be crazy? She was not even practicing to do nothing. Wouldn't that be wild? I mean, she probably was because I think like they saw stuff. But wouldn't that be crazy?
I don't know. In the story, Namjoon was like, "I don't never see y'all doing nothing."
Oh, so maybe she wasn't. Maybe she's not even in the business. Maybe she's just. Whoo, that'd be crazy. Oh, I want to know if this story's if they're gonna get updated. If not, we're gonna create our own Nanny like we just did. That's just gonna be that.
Taeliba. Please finish this story if you see this.
It's so good.
We want to see the ending. You left us hanging.
Yeah, it's so good. There's like so much drama, and it's like tangled and twisted,
and it's almost at the end too. You can tell.
Yeah. Yeah. So, how did you feel about the story?
I love this story. It was one that I could not put down again. It was just so good. I read it so fast because but I still want an ending. I want to know what's gonna happen. What's Hassa gonna do? Yeah. What Namjoon gonna do?
Yep.
But I did love this story. How'd you feel?
I like the story a lot. Like I was reading it and I just couldn't stop, and I was so tired. But I was like, I gotta finish this story. It's so good. And then I finished it, and I was so upset, and I wish I hadn't finished it as soon as I did.
Right.
But it was really really good. But my mind kept going as I was reading it, because I'm like, dang, this could happen, or this could happen. The only thing, well, there wasn't anything that I really didn't like about it. It was good. It was really good. I kind of wish like there was more of the drama early on. Like, I mean, there was bits of drama early. Actually, there was quite a bit of drama early on. Because there was a whole backstory, too, that we didn't talk about, how Tay's always been in love with JK, but JK wasn't comfortable enough to be out there. So, but they had been messing around for years.
This
For like a
story could
year.
possibly still go on, or even have a sequel with just them and what they got going on.
Yeah.
And Jimin and Bubblegum, what's her name? Bubblegum was what they were called.
Yeah. And the thing that was crazy about it was because Jimin didn't know. I think it was Jimin and somebody that didn't know what was going on, but was like peeping little stuff here and there with Tay and JK. But then it looked like at the end, or not the end, but like at the dinner, they were all there and huddled up. I don't know, but that I'm curious about that too.
Mm-hmm.
So this could go a lot of places, and I hope it goes somewhere. I don't care where it goes. I just hope
As
it goes
long as it
somewhere.
goes somewhere.
Yeah, I hope to get the ending, and then we'll be good because it's so good. But yeah, we wanted to share that story with y'all. Our next episode will be on the podcast solely, so you guys can always tune in there. You can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. Here, obviously, you can email us at doyoureadbts. And as usual, don't forget to wait. Where's the
Like, comment, and subscribe, guys.
Yep.
And everything going to be in the description, so you guys can find us easily. Also, please still send us those recommendations. We always taking them.
Yes. All right, guys. Thank you again. Have a good night. Bye.
Bye.